Good afternoon. Welcome to today's Feathr webinar. If you want to go ahead and drop in where you're joining from and what event is top of mind for you today as you're joining this webinar. Just kind of want to get a read of the room and see what types of events we have coming up now that we're in the dead of summer. Just kind of curious to see what all you guys are working on and what you're hoping to get some tips and tricks around. So we'll be talking all about specific campaign types that you can run, specific channels you can use to get awareness going around your event, whether it's a community event, gala, big industry conference. And then I'm going to go through tons of real examples of event marketing campaigns that got good results. So yeah, welcome Jessica, Iowa and a summer concert series. Okay, nice. Is it a fundraiser or what kind of, what's the goal of the concerts? Scientific webinar series. Okay, cool. So some virtual stuff. Wine tasting festival. Love it. Where are you located, Kara? Just curious if you're in some wine country somewhere. Okay, fundraiser. Well, Jessica, good luck with that. Okay, some galas, a 5K. Very nice. Concussion Awareness Month campaign. Okay, so some fundraising and programming. Banquet. Okay, so it seems like we've got a lot of fundraisers, a lot of 501c3s on here. Okay, good to see. I know we invited some member-based orgs to today's webinar too, so I'm curious to see if there's any member-based orgs out there, trade show. Okay, so assuming you are a association, Kyla, coming from an association. We tried to get a mix on here today, so I'm going to be, okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm going to be sharing some specific examples of association and member-based orgs and how they've promoted events, and some arts organizations, some museums, and also 501c3s. So these sort of fundraising events, and some tips around this. Okay, Nebraska Annual Conference. Okay, so we've got some trade associations on here. Good to see it. Okay, cool. Well, welcome to anyone who's just joined. Feel free to drop in where you're joining from and what event is top of mind for you today as you're joining, what you're hoping to get out of today's webinar. We've got some great orgs on here so far. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into the content, but feel free to drop questions in the chat as we go, and I will do my best to get to them throughout. Alrighty, so my name's Isa Hasty. I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager here at Feathr. I'll be sending the slide deck out after, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about the webinar, or if you ever want me to cover a specific topic, have any feedback for me. I'm all ears, so feel free to reach out to me at that email here. Just looking at the chat still. Okay, we've got a couple museums. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, we're going to look at a symphony orchestra and how they market their events too. So definitely we work with a lot of arts and culture orgs, museums, all of that. And yeah, it's cool how sort of no matter what type of event you're running, there's certain rules and campaign types and things that just kind of work regardless when it comes to how to get that awareness and get people in the door. Or virtually for the person who's running the webinar series. So just wanted to quickly, for anyone who's not familiar with Feathr, we are the digital marketing platform for nonprofits. And so we have more than 1,500 users from a variety of different walks of the nonprofit spectrum. So hopefully one of these logos here kind of resonates if you are a 501c3 or arts and culture org. And then I included some of our association and member-based orgs as well, just to kind of give you the full breadth of the types of orgs that we serve. So we started with associations and then ventured into 501c3 work and serving museums, symphonies, zoos, all of that. So we are kind of all over the map because, like I said, you know, there's just so much you can do with digital marketing, and it really applies to anyone who's looking to gain awareness, reach your audience better, get people to show up for your events, get members to renew, get donors to stay engaged year round. So lots of different types of orgs that we're working with here. Okay, let me just check the chat. Okay, welcome Gina, welcome Keely. Free invite only annual event where we recognize our donors. Okay, cool. Struggling to get after hours interest when the only gain for us is awareness. Cocktail hour provided. Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, hopefully we will get into lots of stuff that's helpful for all of these use cases. Before I get into the content, I wanted to launch a quick poll here. Let me get that going. We have a weekly newsletter that goes out on Wednesday mornings at 8:15 a.m. Eastern, and it's full of industry tips. We include webinars like this one. We promote just all kinds of updates and templates, tactics, things that are useful. So if you would like for us to go ahead and subscribe you, so you don't have to actually click on anything, drop a yes in this poll and we will get you subscribed after the webinar and you will start getting those on Wednesday mornings. So yes, okay, lots of yeses coming in. Love to see it. Lots of people already subscribed. About half are already subscribed so far of the people who've responded. So that's wonderful. Yeah, we get really good engagement with this newsletter because I think it's just a good balance of like Feathr resources, like webinars like this that you can tune in for, but also just kind of keeping you up to speed on what's happening in the industry with news and lots of helpful resources from other providers in the space. So go ahead and keep dropping those answers in and we will get you subscribed and you will start getting that next week. Okay, let me get this back over here. Okay, just trying to manage all these tabs on Zoom. Okie doke. Alrighty, so let's get into it. So just a quick agenda. Today we're going to cover, like I said, some event marketing challenges and some sort of general tips around things that you should be thinking about when you're going into launching an event and marketing an event. Then I'm going to talk about some specific types of campaigns that help you gain awareness with net new audiences and sort of build that traction, get people coming to your site for the first time to learn about your event. And then some more sort of conversion-oriented campaigns to actually get those feet in the door, get those tickets purchased, and make sure that registrations and attendance are where you want them to be. So the actual ROI of the events is there. And then I will show lots of examples, like I said, of real campaigns that have worked from a variety of different types of orgs. So obviously, you know, the examples I'm going to share today are all things that you can access in Feathr. They're all examples from Feathr users, and that's because that's, you know, what I have access to. So Feathr offers all of these campaign types, but the idea is to sort of send you away today with some ideas about what's possible. Whatever marketing platforms you're using should allow you to run all of these types of campaigns and should allow you to implement everything that we're talking about today. And there's a lot of testing involved. There's a lot of sort of creative work on your end, but you want to make sure that you have a platform that lets you reach people in all of the places that you can reach them effectively, and sort of stay on their radar with timely, relevant, personalized messaging. So again, examples are from Feathr, but the idea is for you to sort of understand everything that you need to be doing when it comes to marketing your events. And then we'll have some time at the end for Q&A, but feel free to drop questions, comments in the chat as we go. And if somebody drops a question and you feel like you have an answer to it or you've done something that works, feel free to drop an answer in there. I want this to be a space where you all can sort of collaborate and share ideas as well. Okay, so let's get into just some general sort of challenges around event marketing and reaching audiences, and then some tips to kind of help you get on the right track. So just a few things are, you know, audience saturation in digital spaces. So it can be very hard to reach people. People are busy. People are seeing tons of ads. The inboxes are full. Inbox fatigue is real. So you want to make sure that you are combining the right channels and approaches to reach people in more than just one place and with messaging that adds value and isn't just making asks. So we'll get into that in a little bit more detail later. And data limitations, so just feeling like you don't have access to the data that you need to make decisions. One thing I hear a lot from nonprofits is that they work with agencies and they feel that, you know, things are happening, campaigns are being run, but a lot of the time they're not getting the insight that they need in time to make changes in the campaign in real time. They kind of get a report at the end. There may or may not have been successes, but they're not seeing what's happening in real time in a way where they could, adjust the budget on a specific campaign, or adjust the messaging, or maybe like remove one ad and add something else. So like actually being able to see what's working based on the data in real time is really important. So whether you're working with an agency or you bring your marketing in-house and you're doing things in a platform like Feathr or another one, you want to make sure that you are able to get a hold of that data, pay attention to it, not just after the campaign is done, not just after the event has ended and you're kind of reviewing stuff. You want to be able to see things, see the ads as they're running, see who you're reaching, if you're, reaching the right people, if the budget is right. So all of these things are really important to be able to see as the campaigns are happening. Declining member engagement. So this is another thing. We've done tons of webinars and content around actually re-engaging your members, trying to get members to renew, finding new people. But I know for those member-based orgs, declining member engagement can actually be a barrier to actually getting people to attend your event, because a lot of the time your events are centered around something that members are going to attend once a year. And if you can't get members to pay attention to your emails or find value in what you're offering, it might be hard to get them to your events. Lack of resources. So this goes especially, I think, for 501c3s, arts orgs. A lot of the time, it's just limited bandwidth, limited budget, and inability to track and measure success. So this kind of ties back into number 2, but just sort of wanting to be able to see what's working and what's not, but either not having actual access to that data or not having the time to go back and see what worked and iterate. And now, again, lots of people are just churning things out. You're just getting what you have to get done every day, and there's not a lot of time for sort of seeing what worked and implementing that again in the next campaign. But I think that that can go a long way. And there's certain campaigns that you can run where when you run them, you kind of set them up in the background and they trickle in those conversions for you. So it's not a lot of work. And then you can check on them every now and then, see if you need to move some budget around. But there's a lot you can set up to work for you in the background that I would guess a lot of people aren't doing, but I do want to get a little bit of a poll of that in a second. So let's get into some general tips around event marketing, and then I'll dive into some specific campaign types. So you want to make sure that you're engaging people year round, not only when your event is coming up. Obviously, when people are only ever hearing from you when you're asking for a donation or asking them to attend a gala, asking them to attend a conference, things like that, it's easy to sort of dismiss it as, I don't have time for it right now. I don't have the money for it right now. I don't really know what my relationship is with this organization. So making sure that you're providing value on a regular basis, whether that's, industry updates, providing, inviting them to special events outside of just the main one that you've typically invited them to, recognizing their contributions, offering, if you have a newsletter, offering them to subscribe to the newsletter so that you're providing value outside of just those big asks. And then creating personalized experiences through automation. So kind of like I mentioned before, you want to make sure you're setting up campaigns to run in the background so that people are receiving those personalized, timely messages based on their activity on your website or their interaction with your ads or your emails, right? So it's you can't manage all of the different individual relationships that attendees, members, and donors have with you. You can't do that manually, but you can do it through automation by setting things up in a way where when somebody visits your site, they'll then start seeing ads related to the page they visited. When somebody hits your event registration page and they leave without signing up, they'll then receive an automated email in their inbox 15 minutes later saying, hey, did you forget something? So we've all been on the receiving end of those types of emails and ads. So you want to make sure that you're applying that to your marketing when it comes to events and everything else, right? Don't like donation-based campaigns, membership drives, all of that stuff. All of these things apply to those as well. Obviously, we're focusing on events today, but making sure that you are reaching people with ads and emails, reaching them on social media with timely and relevant messaging based on their unique journey with your brand. And then setting realistic expectations for each campaign. I think this is another thing where people can get frustrated when they're running sort of top of funnel campaigns. So maybe it's an awareness campaign, an audience expansion campaign. Maybe you're doing some geofencing and you're not seeing a ton of conversions coming from that. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to all of the different metrics that indicate engagement, right? So here's just an example. This is just a quick screenshot from a dashboard in Feathr, just to give you an idea of, okay, you might have a good number of conversions from all of your campaigns, but looking at things like how many reachable people or how many people you've reached with your campaigns, how many people have visited your website, things like this really matter, because you might run a campaign and have hundreds of new people who never knew about your organization come visit your website. They might not actually attend that event or make a donation that month, but they now have visited your site and they're reachable for you to retarget with further ads. And if they do sign up for something or give you their email, you can then reach them in the inbox as well. So part of it is just sort of playing this long game of getting people to come to your website, learn about you, and then get into sort of your world. And then you can continue to market to them in different ways, offering them different things based on whatever they're interested in. And then kind of go from there. And then last but not least, this tip I think can go a long way. So letting data actually inform your messaging. So this is Christy Jones from the YMCA of Metropolitan Fort Worth. We've worked with her. She's actually joined me for a webinar. We've done a case study with her. She's a great Feathr user. And one of the things that she found was that through running ads in Feathr and testing different language, she was actually able to see what resonated with her audience and what didn't, what actually brought in the wrong people versus the right people. And then she could make adjustments to the actual branding and messaging based on that. So specifically, one thing that they found was that they were testing some language around after school care programs. And so they tested the language childcare, and it was actually pulling in parents of very young kids. And they were actually looking for kids over 4 for these after school programs. And so they made a decision to remove childcare from this messaging and replace it with after school or out of school. And when they did that in their ads and their emails, they started seeing the right people come in. So you can apply this to any campaign you're running, really. The idea is just to test language, test ad copy, test design, layout, all of these things, and see what actually works and what's bringing in the people that you want to convert and to attend your events and all of these things. And then you can sort of adjust the way that you're talking about things based on who's coming in and who you want to reach. All right, so let's talk. I want to sort of introduce at a high level these different campaign types for both growing awareness and then getting those conversions, and then we'll dive into some specific examples of campaigns. So geofencing, so we have mobile geofencing and historical geofencing. So you can do this in real time or based on past attendance at events or places. This lets you serve ads on people's mobile devices based on where they were physically, right? So if somebody was at an event last week, you can geofence, you can do a little sort of like geofilter around that physical location and then serve ads today on people's mobile devices to people who were there at that time, right? So you're basically picking sort of a geolocation and a time window, and you're reaching people with ads on their mobile devices based on the fact that they were there. And so you can think about it, if you're trying to reach, if you're running a fundraiser and you're trying to reach big ticket donors, for example, you might geofence a high income neighborhood or a golf tournament or some kind of event where you know that there's going to be high net worth individuals there, right? If you're an association looking for younger members, you might geofence a university or a career fair or something like that. If you're hosting an event, you can actually geofence other events, so maybe competitor events, other industry events. If you're, I hear this example a lot from theaters and museums, they'll actually geofence other local theaters and museums because they figure, okay, local people who are going to that museum might be interested in what mine has to offer. And so there's a lot you can do with kind of getting creative, thinking about all of the different physical locations in your community where relevant people might be congregating. And then you can geofence those, serve them ads, be like, hey, come check out our version of that thing, right? So this is a really powerful campaign type. And you can also set geo filters on all of the different ad campaigns you're running. That's recommended, obviously, to maximize budget. If you're running a local event, you don't want to be serving ads to people across the world. So you can set up geo filters everywhere, but geofencing and historical geofencing offer you this unique capability to kind of really hone in on specific locations, past or present, and get those very specific audiences. So we'll go into some examples of how people have used geofencing in a few minutes. So keyword search, this allows you to serve those display ads. So same as retargeting and geofencing where people are seeing ads as they're browsing the web. keyword search campaigns allow you to serve those types of ads to people who have searched for a term that you consider relevant. So it's different than paid search campaigns. It's different than Google Ads. That's basically moving up your search result to the top of the Google page while people are searching. So this is kind of afterwards, right? If somebody searches where to donate to cancer research, then a few minutes later, a few days later, they'll start to see relevant ads for that show up as they're browsing other sites, okay? And then affinity targeting leverages demographic, industry, behavioral data, all kinds of specific in-market and industry data to help you tap into specific audiences that you're looking for. So you're basically selecting from pre-vetted target groups. So in Feathr, these are built in based on ad network partnerships that we have. And so you basically just go in, you scroll, you type in some keywords that you want to kind of narrow down, and so you can get really specific. Again, we'll go into some specific examples later. Here you can see that this customer targeted museums, galleries, and gardens. So people who were interested in attending events at places like that, or have a purchase history related to arts and galleries. An example we'll see later is targeting moms of school-aged children for a specific weekly community night. And so there's a lot that you can get very specific, women in tech in California, parents of young children in this area. So you can really, really get specific. And again, throwing in geofilters on top of that, you can hone in on your exact audience. So yeah, pediatric medicine, if you're a member-based org and you want to target specific people in your industry, there's a lot of industry data that lets you target your sector and specific professionals within your sector. Okay, and then when it comes to actually getting more feet in the door, driving those conversions, selling those event tickets. So email mapping, this is sort of between awareness and conversions. I put it in this section just because I think it's a warmer audience. And so this is something that you don't want to miss out on, right? These are people whose emails you already have. And so this is also called CRM retargeting for anyone who's heard it by that name. So no emails are sent as part of this campaign. You are using somebody's email as a unique identifier to then serve them those display ads around the web. So it's a way of basically expanding your audience by serving ads to people whose email addresses you have, but they might not have been to your site in a while. So you just upload the list of email addresses to Feathr, or you select from email addresses that you already have in Feathr if you're using Feathr's email platform, and then you serve them ads just like retargeting, just like geofencing. And again, they don't have to have visited your site. So this could be previous year's event attendees, right? Maybe you had an event last year, you have the list of all the people who attended that event. A lot of them might not have been to your site in the last few months, so they might not be reachable for retargeting campaigns, but you can run an email mapping campaign where you start serving them ads with the goal of bringing them to your site to learn about this year's event. And then if they do click through to your site, click on one of those ads, come browse your site, then they're in your reachable audience, and you can continue serving them ads through email mapping campaigns, through retargeting campaigns, and again, get more specific based on their activity. So if they visit that event page, learn more about it, visit the registration page, then you can start serving them cart abandonment campaigns if they visit the reg page and then leave without registering, right? So again, it's all about sort of following the individual journey that each person has with your website and with your organization, and serving them targeted ads based on that. So email mapping is just a really good way to kind of get in on all of those people who have opted in some way in the past. So maybe it's people who volunteered, people who attended last year's event, donors, people who attended a gala, anything like that. Those email lists can be really useful for actually running these ad campaigns. Because also, you have their email address, so you can email them about your event, but it's better not just to bombard their inbox, but also to serve them ads to supplement that if you can. So this is a great way to do that. All right, and then ad retargeting. So this is sort of Feathr's bread and butter, and it is one of those things that is extremely powerful. You can do a lot with a small budget, but I don't know, I'm actually would like to ask the room here, how many of you are currently doing site retargeting? Yes or no? We asked this on a webinar recently, and we got kind of a mix of answers. So I want to sort of know if you all are running ad campaigns where if somebody comes to your homepage, you then serve them ads as they browse the web with more information. And then if they come back to your event page, you're then serving them specific ads with more information about the event, getting them to come back and register. So let me know. Okay, it looks like there's a little bit of a lag, but I'm seeing some answers coming in. So yeah, just let me know, are you running site retargeting or not? Okay, no, have in the past, but not currently. Yes, okay. Good on you, Kristen. Okay, okay. Yeah, keep dropping yeses and no. I love kind of getting a sense of the room. Okay. But it definitely feels like the majority of you are not doing this yet, and that's totally fine. It's actually very simple to set up. So again, Feathr offers this. A lot of platforms offer retargeting, but the idea is that, like I said, you're serving targeted ads based on people's activity on your website. So really all it is setting up a pixel on any website pages that you want to track, and then that allows you to track the people that visit that page and then serve them ads once they leave. And so this is a great way to, just like with cart abandonment email campaigns, right? When somebody, and you're probably all familiar with this, at least on the receiving end, you visit Amazon, you check out a pair of shoes, and then you don't buy them, you're going to receive an email in your inbox reminding you with a picture of the shoes, whatever. And you're also going to see those ads as you're on Facebook and browsing, news websites and recipe websites. You start to see ads with that pair of shoes with language encouraging you to come back, right? So that's all retargeting is. It's highly effective because it's just basically reminding you of something that you were interested in. So you are a warm, primed prospect for that thing, but for whatever reason you walked away and didn't convert. And so that's what ad retargeting is. It's something that for-profit organizations have made great use of, and it's super lucrative, and nonprofits are starting to use it more. But it's absolutely something that you need to get on top of and be using because it's one of the highest converting types of marketing campaigns. And again, you can do a lot with a small budget. So just for a few $100s in media spend, which is basically the money that you use to serve the ads, you can get tons of conversion. So we'll see some examples in a few minutes of the amount of money that somebody put into a campaign, which again can really be between $150 and $400, and then getting thousands of dollars back in ROI and in conversions. Okay, and then email automation. So I'm sure a lot of you are running different types of email campaigns. I just want to emphasize the importance of timely automated emails. So like we just talked about with retargeting, where people are coming to your site, doing a thing, and then receiving some specific communication soon after about that thing they did. You can do this with email too. So like I said, Amazon does this. They'll get in your inbox and say, hey, you were looking at this thing. Do you want to buy it or not? Come back. You can do this as well with selling event tickets, with, if somebody comes to your donation page and doesn't make a donation, you can hit them with an email. It doesn't have to be right away. It could be the next day, but say, hey, you still thinking about giving to our cause? Come back, check it out. And you don't have to be pushy. Like, you can decide what language works, you can test what works, but just reminding people that they were interested. And a lot of the time people do want to give, or they do want to buy an event ticket, and they really just get distracted, their wallet's somewhere else. There's a million reasons why people visit your site and do something, indicate interest, and don't actually convert. So, alrighty, let's get into specific examples. Kara, yeah, so MailChimp and Constant Contact, they should both offer automated email. I believe Constant Contact offers some retargeting capabilities. I'm not actually sure about MailChimp. So there is some overlap between what Feathr, MailChimp, and Constant Contact offer. Feathr's retargeting capabilities specifically are excellent, and that is sort of like where we started. That's our bread and butter, and we've built on that and have all kinds of other campaign types to kind of supplement that. But I don't know currently what MailChimp offers in terms of retargeting. So definitely do your own research there, but yeah. I'm sorry, I don't have more current insight. I feel like these platforms are constantly changing and adding features too. So a couple years ago, I knew the answer, but I do not know right now. Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about specific campaigns. So this is the Arkansas Hospice Foundation, and they have an annual fundraising event called Party at the Plaza. And so this is just a sort of bird's eye view of the campaigns that they ran in Feathr. We call this a flight, so it's basically just sort of a way of visualizing all of your campaigns from top of the funnel to bottom of the funnel. It makes it easy to see at a glance, how people are moving through the funnel, what are my awareness campaigns, what are my sort of nurturing interest campaigns, and then how am I really driving those conversions, getting those tickets sold, and getting people in the door. So we like to sort of set things up in this way that makes it easy to see all of your campaigns at a glance, so you can see the flow of the user journey. So let's look at a few different campaigns that they ran. So this is a historical geofencing campaign. So as you can see here, they targeted these specific areas. So this party at the plaza takes place at this plaza called Argenta Plaza. So they actually targeted this area for anyone who had been at this specific location at this plaza recently, who might live in the area or like going to events in Argenta Plaza. They targeted that one to be like, hey, we're having this event at this plaza soon, come join us. And then you can see that they targeted some other specific event venues and areas in town. So I don't know what these are, but these are probably, you know, an event hall, just relevant areas around town where people are getting together for events, for parties, things like that. So you kind of have to see, you know, what are the local areas where people who I want to come to this event are probably congregating. Another example I've heard is, so one of our customers, Palmetto Community Care, they're in Charleston and they have an annual Beer Fest fundraiser. And so what that user will do is he actually geofences local breweries, because obviously, you know, people who are at breweries on a regular basis might be interested in attending a Beer Fest fundraiser. So there's a lot you can do with just kind of thinking about, okay, who's my target audience here? Where would they be right now? Or where might they have been last week? What is that place? Can I geofence that place? And the answer is usually yes. Again, like I said, budget is $300, so they were able to just invest $300 in this campaign and serve ads like these to people on their mobile devices. And then an affinity targeting campaign. So again, this is that type of campaign where you're honing in on a specific pre-built, pre-vetted audience. And so they were able to reach people who are in market for concerts and music festivals. So they have a purchase history related to buying tickets for concerts or festivals. And then same here. So these were just two different versions of that group. And again, serving these ads to people who have a tendency to attend music festivals and other relevant events. Okay, and then the retargeting, right? So site retargeting, they were serving these ads to people who came to the website and left. So this was all of the people who came to the website. They were serving these early bird ads. So they called this the early bird retargeting campaign, and they were offering a lower price to people who registered before the early bird window ended. And so a lot of the time with these types of campaigns, you might start with retargeting all of your website traffic. So anyone who's come to any of your web pages or whichever ones you've set up a pixel on in the last however many days, you can retarget all of them with some general information about the event. And then you might get a little more specific. People who come to the event page and learn about that and then leave, you can retarget them with ads a little bit more specific. Maybe you're highlighting some event features, or if it's something like this, you can highlight specific artists that are going to be there. If it's, you know, an industry event or a trade show or something like that, you can highlight, you know, if you have a happy hour after a cocktail hour or special luncheon or something like that. So getting a little more specific about reasons why somebody might be more intrigued. And then, yeah, just kind of luring them in slowly based on how interested they are based on their website activity. And then they also did some reminder emails. So just to give you an idea of who they targeted with these. So this is the email, really nice looking email here. So this went out to people who didn't open the first promo email for Party at the Plaza. It went out to this group, Board Leadership Foundation, and then also people who clicked a link to Party at the Plaza page. So this might have been from ad campaign. So if maybe they saw an ad, clicked a link, arrived at that page, but did not register for the event. And then viewed the Party at the Plaza page. So just capturing anyone who viewed that page. So these are two sort of different, there's a lot of overlap here, but just making sure they're putting the umbrella over all of the people who got to that page and didn't take action. They received this email. And then I included this quote here just because I think it's great that they had so much success through running these campaigns. So Laura Grimes, who's the Outreach and Development Director at Arkansas Hospice, she said that last year's Party at the Plaza ended up being their organization's most successful fundraising event of all time, which is amazing. And so they were just noticing a lot more interaction with the content, higher attendance, and yeah, they were just running this variety of campaign types to get in front of net new people, bring them into the website, keep them coming back until they actually purchase tickets. So huge success story there. All right, now to get into a member-based org here for all of you member-based peeps in the audience. So we've got the American Association of Endodontists. So this is just a quick view of the flight or the campaigns for their 2024 annual meeting, which was super successful. So again, you can see here the kind of top of funnels. They have an early bird campaign. This is an email campaign, retargeting. They did some email mapping to previous year's attendees, and then ran a bunch of retargeting campaigns for registration dropout, keeping people nurtured and interested. So early bird retargeting ads, so you can see here that they were targeting people who, as you can see here, they excluded people who, this goal segment means that these people actually have registered already for this event. So you want to make sure that you're excluding, and you can do this really easily with retargeting campaigns and with all of these ad campaigns. You exclude segments that you don't want to be seeing these ads. So somebody who already registered for the event, you don't want to be showing them ads to register for the event. So you exclude them and you only include the people who haven't registered yet. And so these are just some of the ads that they saw. And again, relatively low budget here for a high impact campaign. And so just to show you that comparison here, they invested $900 in media spend, which is how much they spent to serve these ads to these specific people. And then from that campaign alone, they brought in $57,800 with 72 conversions. So this is obviously a high ticket item, but this was amazingly successful, and this was $900 of media spend. So retargeting is highly impactful and it's very cost effective. Email mapping. So again, this is using those lists of emails as identifiers to serve ads to people who have given you their email at some point in the past. So they ran this type of campaign as well. They served these ads to those people who had attended their events in the past, maybe some member email lists, things like that. And they were able to pull in 14 conversions from that at almost $14,000 in ticket sales. And then again, retargeting those highly engaged people. And so they were calling out some specific aspects of the event to people who had visited the page and shown interest, but just to entice them a little bit more. So kind of highlighting some photos from the events, earn essential CE credits. So that's another thing that you want to make sure that you're highlighting in your ads and in your emails, but especially in your ads where you have kind of limited space to work with and you want to use really impactful language. And especially in these animated ads where you can show sort of multiple different small phrases, just really highlighting the benefits of attending your event is key. So CE credits, networking with people, attending a specific, after event happy hour, things like that are all really, really great. And if you have somebody who's well known in the industry coming to speak, you might run ads with their photo highlighting that they're going to be there. So there's a lot you can do with limited ad space. And then cart abandonment retargeting. So again, people who visited that event page, spent some time there, but didn't register for the event. They then saw these more explicit, did you forget something, finish your registration ads. And this campaign brought in 27 more conversions. So super, super high ROI campaigns here. And as you can see, the ads, they're great, but they're relatively simple and the budgets are relatively low for these campaigns. So really, really great results here. So ultimately they were able to bring in 758 attendees to this event for this conversion value. So this is the revenue they brought in from this event, running just this handful of campaigns in Feathr. As you saw at the beginning here, these are the campaigns they ran for this annual meeting. It's 8 campaigns, a good balance of top of funnel to converting, nurturing and converting. And they were able to really, really pull in a lot of people. All right, let's talk about United Way of Asheville and Buncombe County. So are there any United Ways in the room? Let me know if you are from a United Way or an organization that's similar. So this United Way was hosting community nights, which are just weekly sort of dinners for families to get together, have a free dinner. Kids could get help on homework, things like that. They obviously plummeted after the pandemic and they took a huge hit even into 2021, 2022. And so when I spoke with this customer, she talked about how she really wasn't sure what to do. They were hosting these weekly nights. They were getting 1 or 2 families in the door. They had tons of volunteers who were eager and ready and showing up, and people were just not coming. And so she started running geofencing campaigns, and within a couple of weeks, she was getting 30 families in the door. So just showing up on people's mobile devices, showing up as they're browsing the internet with ads saying, hey, you want free dinner next Wednesday? Hey, does your kid want help with homework? Hey, you want to meet other families in your area? There's just a lot you can do with just a little bit of language on an ad and showing up in the right place. And she was reaching people who might not have even known that these community nights existed. You know, she was certainly reaching people who had attended them before and hadn't attended them in a while, but people in the area who are primed for this, she was able to reach them with ads like these. And again, you can see this heat map here. So she was targeting, you know, specific areas in Asheville, serving these ads to people, and she was able to bring in a lot more people each week. And she said, I'll show in a minute a quote, but it was just like the uptick was insane. She almost couldn't believe it. And then affinity targeting. So she was able to target these specific groups. So moms of elementary, middle, and high schoolers. So she was showing ads like this. So a lot of different ads. I think really cute ads here. And again, just kind of promoting, you know, what people will get out of the events, showing value. You want to make sure you're always showcasing value, and then you have a prominent CTA for people to click through and learn more. And make sure that you're taking them to a page where they really can learn more. Make sure that whatever content you have in your ads is directly related to whatever page you're driving them to. You want to create that continuity there visually and with language. And then she was running some site retargeting campaigns. So obviously all of those new people through geofencing and affinity campaigns who may or may not have heard of these before, but it was the first time in a while that they were considering, they clicked on one of those ads, got to the site, and then because they visited the site, she was able to continue serving them these ads, telling them, hey, you really should come to this. And so they continued seeing ads after they visited the website, encouraging them to come. I like this one just with a quote from a volunteer, so getting a little bit more personal, telling those stories. And then, yeah, as you can see here, this really speaks for itself. So Elizabeth from this org said it went from really no one coming to, and suddenly the very next week after I ran these geofencing ads, 30 families were showing up. And it was like, what? And that was the only thing we had changed. So it really was a cumulative effort of all of those ad campaigns together, but really starting with those geofencing and affinity targeting campaigns, getting in front of net new people, growing awareness in the community about the fact that this thing exists, and then getting them to the site, and then it's easier, you know? Alrighty, we've got the Japan America Society of Washington, D.C. This is one of my favorite Feathr customers because her creatives are so beautiful. So I'm obsessed. So they have an annual event called Sakura Matsuri. So it's just a cultural event that takes place in D.C. And so you can see here, she geofenced this convention center, national resort in the D.C. area, as well as a few other areas next to history museums, sort of in central DC, where people, you might have a lot of tourists, you might have people who are interested in cultural events, museums, things like that. So she geofenced those specific areas with ads that looked like this to kind of get the event on people's radars and get people aware and coming to the site to learn more. And then site retargeting. So again, those people that came to the site for the first time to learn about the event, they leave without purchasing a ticket. They'll start to see more and more ads reminding them about this event, trying to get them to come back and learn more. And again, the point of these campaigns isn't to serve one ad, have somebody come and purchase a ticket. It's just to stay on people's radar, try to cut through the noise of all of the other ads and all of the other content that people are seeing, and remind them of this thing that they might be very interested in attending or purchasing. And so, yeah, you can see here that she included people who visited the Sakura Matsuri page and also people who visited the ticket sales landing page. So a lot of the time you might have an event, you know, an about the event page, and then you have a separate page for ticket sales. And so you can put the pixel on both of those pages so that anyone who comes to those pages is then served these ads saying, hey, come back and buy that ticket. Budget, $130. Again, super low, super reasonable budget here. She also has beautiful emails, so I just included 3 examples here. I really like this first one here because you can see in a second when it scrolls back up, you can see this countdown timer right here. So it's set at 0 because I took the screenshot after the event was passed, but that obviously is counting down to the event. It's a really just cool feature that you can add into any email to kind of get people excited and add a little bit of a sense of urgency. And then, yeah, just a few other examples of the emails that she built in Feathr and sent out to people who were interested in the events, maybe people who were subscribed to her newsletter, who had attended events before, so she had their email, but they hadn't bought a ticket yet. So it's just kind of promoting that in addition to running ads. And then, so this is a lower ticket price event, so not a ton of revenue, but she brought in 423 event attendees through these campaigns. So it's a relatively affordable event, just a community, cultural event, but she brought in $5,000 or $4,400 in revenue, and hundreds of people came to the event. So lots of foot traffic there, and it was one of their most successful events up until that point. And then, as a smaller society that, doesn't have a ton of money to spend on campaigns like this, she commented, you spend $50 on ads and you get $1,000 of revenue back. And for a society like ours, that's a huge return on investment. It's very encouraging. So I think that's just insightful, again, for any organizations out there who are thinking, okay, I don't always have a ton of budget for running a lot of different types of marketing campaigns. These types of ad campaigns that are very personalized and targeted can be so effective that you don't have to put a ton of money behind them for them to work. So I know I keep saying that, but I want to really emphasize that point. A little bit of money goes a long way when you have the right creatives and the right targeting set up. And then another member-based organization. So this is the Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat. So they ran some geofencing campaigns showing ads like this in the Chicago area. So again, just seeing the heat map here, you can zoom in closer in the Feathr app and actually see where people were seeing the ads. But these are just a few examples of the ads that they ran to drive awareness about their annual conference called Tall Excellence. This was in 2022. And then the site retargeting. So people who visited the conference site, which is separate than their website, and then all website visitors. So they included both of these segments, budget of $1,000, and they served ads, ongoing to people who visited either of those websites, any of the pages on those websites. They saw these ads, they could click to learn more, and then they could register if they wanted to. If they didn't, they'd continue to see ads. And then for this event, with the campaigns that they ran, they were able to drive $22,600 in revenue and bring in 16 event registrants from those campaigns. All right, and last but not least, we have the Quad City Symphony Orchestra. So any arts orgs or museums out there, hopefully this one is helpful for you just in terms of getting people to come to shows or exhibits or anything like that. So this is another great user as well. I love her in particular because she is really good with segmentation. So she's very thoughtful about, okay, where are people arriving on my website? What does that say about them? What shows have they attended in the past? What does that mean about shows that they might be interested in attending in the future? And she gets extremely segmented in terms of who she's reaching with what messaging. And so, yeah, I want to give a shout out to Caitlin. She's actually, so Feathr is attending the League of American Orchestras event today, and she is actually with us there speaking at a luncheon and chatting about how she uses Feathr. So shout out to Caitlin. She's an amazing Feathr user, and we're really happy that she's such a great partner and at that event with us. So yeah, just to show a few different campaigns that she's run. This was the Harry Potter 6 in concert show that they did. And so again, just showing the flight, showing kind of the breakdown of campaigns here. This first column goes on longer, but the screenshot cut off. But there's tons of awareness campaigns that she runs just to kind of get everything, just to kind of get the shows on the radar of as many people as possible. This icon here is also for tracked link campaigns, which I haven't gone into in this webinar, but this is a type of campaign in Feathr that allows you to actually track the metrics of campaigns that you're running outside of Feathr. So if you're running social campaigns directly in social media platforms, if you're running print campaigns, if you are doing TV ads, anything like that, where you have a QR code, maybe you're sending out postcards in the mail or any kind of mailers, and you can use a QR code with a custom URL, you can track all of that in Feathr using what we call tracked link campaigns. So she does a really good job of keeping all of the data from all of the campaigns she's running, both physical mail and things like that, posters around town, and her digital campaigns. She has it all in Feathr, so she can really kind of see what's working and what's not and track the effectiveness of things so that, if she's finding, okay, we're spending a ton of money on direct mail pieces and they're only bringing in these conversions, whereas our, the ads were serving on Facebook to people who visited our website. So that's what we call meta retargeting. Those are hyper targeted and they might bring in way more, conversions and way more ticket sales. So maybe we actually want to move some of that direct mail budget over to some of these digital campaigns. And so that's not always the case, but I am hearing more and more from nonprofits and associations that moving some of that direct mail budget over to digital can be helpful just in terms of like the efficiency of the campaigns and the ROI they're seeing. So again, putting everything in one place, tracking all of your metrics in one platform helps you see where you really need to be investing more budget and pulling budget away. So for this Harry Potter 6 concert, she ran some keyword search targeting. So again, people who searched for relevant terms were then shown these ads as they browsed the web in the following days and weeks, encouraging them to click through, learn about the show, hopefully buy a ticket. And then site retargeting. So she did some specific sort of driving urgency type language. So she targeted people who visited the event website and she also pulled in a couple of the specific list. So this was an import here. People who had purchased tickets in the past to one of the other Harry Potter shows that happened before. So any of those people who attended those shows would probably be interested in Harry Potter 6. So she imported that, included it along with website visitors. She excluded, like I said earlier, people who've already purchased tickets for Harry Potter 6. So we don't want them to be seeing these ads. You can easily exclude them. And then you're only showing it to people who have not bought a ticket yet. A budget of 250 here. These are some of the ads. And so she did this 1 month out. And so the language obviously saying, okay, in 1 month, come see Harry Potter. And then she did something similar the week before. So she changed the language to say this Saturday, again, to just drive that urgency, remind people, you need to buy your ticket now, it's coming up soon. Same segments here. So excluding people who already bought tickets, including people who have shown interest in Harry Potter and have been to the website, have been to that page and looked at the Harry Potter show, but have not bought a ticket. And then she also sent some emails here. So showing a few of the different emails here. And we noticed you left something behind. So this is actually one of the cart abandonment emails. So this is for people who maybe visited the page and didn't register. And this was for people who visited the page a couple of times and didn't register. So this might be for people who visited any page on their website and we have their email. We can send them this email saying, hey, buy tickets. And then this is sort of the more urgent cart abandonment style email. And for this show, they had amazing turnout. They drove $74,600 in revenue from ticket sales and brought in 508 attendees. So this was like, they blew it out of the water with this one. And this is obviously a combination of different factors, a combination, interest in Harry Potter versus other shows. But yeah, amazing results here. And then I wanted to just show another quick one, highlight Hocus Pocus in concert. So similar thing here, just to kind of show how consistent she is with really using those tracked link campaigns to bring everything into Feathr, really building out the awareness part of the funnel and driving new people to the website to then show them further ads, driving them to come back, sending them emails, things like this. And then, so she did some affinity targeting for this, and you can see sort of in detail the types of groups that you can target with affinity. So people who were in market for movies and movie theaters, people who had attended movies and film festivals, and then people who had purchased tickets related to Broadway and musical theater. So just kind of thinking, okay, again, who is my audience here? Who do I want to reach? And then honing in on those groups and serving them these ads to get them aware. I know, Kristen, me too. I feel like if I'm ever in the area, I'm going to ask Kristen to hook me up with some tickets because these shows look amazing. And then site retargeting. So again, I know I'm being repetitive with this, but I just want to really drive home how important it is to not only drive awareness and bring people to your site, but then continue showing up and continue serving them messaging saying, hey, you know about this thing now? Come back and actually make that purchase. So you can see here that she included a ton of different segments. So people who had visited specific pages on the site, people who had purchased Nightmare Before Christmas tickets in the past. So there was also Nightmare Before Christmas in concert show that had happened before this. So anyone who had purchased tickets for that, she assumed, okay, they might be interested in Hocus Pocus. There's like the millennial nostalgia factor there. So just really being thoughtful about what these groups of people would be interested in, what some common interests would be from show to show, and including all of those people in these ads. And then for this Hocus Pocus show, she saw a nearly $12,000 conversion value, and she brought in 99 people for the show from these Feathr campaigns. So yeah, really great stuff here. Again, segmentation goes a long way, just paying attention to the data that you're seeing from your marketing campaigns, letting that inform not only your messaging, but also who is my audience? Like, who are the people that are showing interest? Because sometimes I think we make assumptions about who our audience is, but if you pay attention to who is responding to your ads and your emails and who is showing up, that can give you more insight into sort of what personas you're dealing with and who your ideal audience is, so that you can get to know them better and write even more sort of authentic messaging, get into better storytelling, because you understand who you're reaching and who really is engaged with you, whether that's a specific cause, whether you're talking about donors, whether it's, you know, concert goers or members who might be interested in your mission. I think understanding your audience is very important, and it's an often overlooked thing. I think we kind of take that for granted, but campaigns like this can really give you a lot of insight into who that audience is and how to better speak to them. So yeah. Okay, well, that wraps up the content, almost just on time. I know there's a few questions in here, so I'm going to try to go through, but I want to launch another quick poll just before people start hopping off. So obviously I showed a lot of Feathr campaigns today. I want to launch a quick poll to see if you're interested in getting a more personalized walkthrough of Feathr. So if you, let's see here. Oh, I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Okay. Go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat for me if you would like a personalized walkthrough of anything that you saw here today. I can connect you with somebody who can kind of hear about your organization's specific goals. Maybe you have an event coming up this summer, maybe you have an event coming up in the fall, and you want to kind of get ahead of how to get in front of net new people, how to drive more people to your website to learn about your event for the first time, and then how to kind of keep people coming back, stay on their radar, not just in their email inbox, but with ads across the web, so that you are really driving those conversions. So yeah, go ahead, drop a 1 if you want us to connect with you, and we will reach out, and somebody can actually walk you through the platform, answer any questions you have, and give you a little bit more of a tailored look into how you can apply some of these things. So go ahead and do that. Sorry, I couldn't launch the poll. I know that makes it easier sometimes, but yeah, just drop a 1 for me. If you're interested. Zoom is funky sometimes. Okay, let me just look at these questions real quick. And thank you, everyone. I know some of you might have to hop off as I go through the questions, but thank you, everyone, for joining. I really appreciate your time, and I hope this was helpful. And I hope to see you on the next one. Okay, so Kristen said we're currently using mostly retargeting and lookalike ad types for our in-person scientific conferences and virtual webinars. We don't have a lot of excess budget or time. What's another campaign type? I would say I think affinity targeting could be a good place to start, just because with scientific conferences, obviously this is a member-based org and you're doing something for a specific sector, you can get pretty specific with affinity targeting just in terms of like professionals in specific sectors, student age people at universities. That can be a place to begin in terms of just like really getting detailed about the types of people you're trying to reach and get on their radars, and then bring them in. And if you're already doing retargeting, which is great to hear, I think that yeah, affinity can be a good one. Also, if you're doing search retargeting, or if you're not doing keyword search campaigns, I don't know if you're doing Google Ads, but a lot of the time there can be some easy overlap there if you're already putting thought and work into the keywords that you want to rank for with Google Ads and things like that. You can pull a lot of that information into your search keyword campaigns. Okay, you are. So yeah, search keyword can be great because you're obviously trying to show up as people are searching for relevant terms, right, on the Google page. But then if they've searched for those terms, you can continue reaching them with your ads as they're browsing other sites. And so that can be, you know, just a way, especially if you're not able to rank in that top spot. You might be paying for it and aiming to show up there, but if you're not actually showing up there, this is another way to sort of cut through the noise and make sure that you are showing up for people who search those terms. So I would say, yeah, like in terms of awareness campaigns, affinity and keyword search, and then anything you can do with email automation, obviously get that set up. And I think that's a relatively low lift. yeah, in terms of just, people who visit a specific page, set up an automated email to go out, encouraging them to register for these conferences and virtual webinars. And also, I think positioning thing, I know you asked for one idea, I'm giving you all of the things in my head, but I think positioning things as series can be helpful too. So I don't know if that's how you're doing it, but it sounds like you're running sort of a few different things. And so to the degree that you can position things as, a series that they can sort of subscribe to or opt into, and even setting things up to get them to actually register for multiple things. So if it's like a webinar series, maybe you have it set up so that the calendar holds happen. They say yes to the series, and then they're automatically registered for multiple webinars. So just, yeah, ways to think about like positioning the actual offering in addition to where and how you're marketing it. So hopefully that's helpful, but yeah, there's lots you can do. We do that with our webinars, but not with the conferences since they're different topics. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, doing that with the webinars, and then yeah, with conferences, I think it's just about getting on new people's radars through just those awareness campaigns. And yeah, okay. I see Naomi helped answer one of these questions here. Thank you, Naomi. And then yeah, I'm just scrolling up, but it looks like I think we got to most of them. So, okay, well, thank you so much, everybody. Again, I'll be sending out the recording and the deck tomorrow morning, so look out for that in your inbox. And feel free to reach out to me at the email that I listed on that second slide there. I love to hear from anyone. If you have any questions, ideas, please shoot me any topics that you think would be helpful. I'm always trying to understand like what is helpful for you all. So if there's a specific topic that you would really love to hear about, absolutely send me that and I will do my best to provide some information around it. So yeah, thank you again, everybody. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.